All right. Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Good, James, man. Good to see you. How are you?
Man, I'm good and I'm really excited to be here talking about Thunkable, which is like this low code tool that I heard a lot about. Um, a tool that people can use to make mobile apps without coding at all, right?
Yeah. So I was introduced to Thunkable through a CS class here in San Francisco. It is technically a replacement for a logic class because the instructor is like, you don't need to know how to code. You just need to know logic in order to use this tool. And I had just finished a coding boot camp, a full stack boot camp, tech elevator,
Hmm.
challenging, great. Um, I don't think I have ambitions to be a full-time dev. I just want to know how to make computers do cool stuff for my own like small business kind of science data nerd
Was that
ambition.
your first time coding?
Yeah. So I went from I worked with Cody Decks for a bit when they launched because one of my friends was like, "Hey, my friend Sonny Lee, shout out to Sonny and Cody Decks, they're awesome, is launching a little like coding business. I believe he had a background at one of the other really good like Code Academy, but then
Hmm.
he made his own thing, Cody Decks, which is like you kind of build a game like with Python as you're doing it. And I just did like his very first week class. So I
Cool.
had a week of Python
Mhm.
before 3 months of full stack dev, which was Java, HTML, CSS, SQL, JavaScript, and then a bunch of add-ons and other things, tons of tools.
So
So it
even
was like
after
really.
learning all that stuff, you still like to use Thunkable.
I took the Thunkable class because I was like, wait, there's a level 100 class for building apps. That can't be possible. And I took it and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Like the way Thunkable displays code is, I think, how I think about and try to visualize and try to write it. And I think is the exact way to make it easier to understand what you're trying to do when you're trying to learn to code. Because, like, the hard part is the syntax and the language. Like, you generally know I want my array to move, or I need my pointers here and I need it to go here. But if you're working with two or three different languages, there's different syntax, there's different rules, there's all this different stuff that makes it's like going from speaking English to Japanese to Thai to like
Yeah.
Spanish in a course of a few minutes. It's like very hard to do when you're new, when especially when the language of computers is new and vast to you. Um, so like Thunkable eliminates a lot of that by being like, here is a template that does things. This template has blank spots and only things not there are some instances where you can put incorrect things in the spot, but they mostly fit together like puzzle pieces, or blanks can only be filled with things that are like semi-valid or going to work. Again, it's not perfect, but it makes it like if you can logic out what you are trying to do, you just slap the puzzle pieces together, name your things in a way that is easy enough for you to remember. Um, and it just kind of works. And I thought from learning basic kind of computing concepts, then getting into APIs and really heavy. The boot camp I went to was very business focused, extremely aimed at making things that would be good for like sales or business. So learning a lot of the back and forth between databases. Thunkable makes it make sense in a visual, concrete term, which is like perfect, I think, as a companion learning tool. But if you also just want to make a thing and don't care about learning to code, like I'm pretty sure you can. There's videos on YouTube, and it's like which we're doing currently, um, but like it's relative. It's not like you're gonna crash your PC with Thunkable. Like I don't think I've ever done that. Like I've run a thing that didn't work and just refreshed the website. Like it is, I think, forgiving enough where people can just hop on and tinker and get something to happen that would have otherwise kind of taken like a lot more work to parse out.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds great. Well, I'm very interested, so I guess the only thing to do is to have a look and to actually try it out.
yeah, totally. And you've got my screen share up.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're gonna show us.
All
You're
right,
gonna
so
show us this app that you made, right?
yeah. So this was like, admittedly, I am not a great student. I didn't even need a passing grade. So I was often doing like just enough to learn the concept and be like, I'm going to play with this later. Um, and I wanted to show one of my friend's projects because he put his heart and soul into these things. And I figured it would be a better display of what
Mhm.
Thunkable can do because it can make his apps looked like I would have, if I was a fan of he made a fan page thing. If I was a fan of that band, I would have paid for it. Like it was brilliant. So it can actually make really good stuff. And you're seeing my screen, right? You can see
Yeah.
on
Can you make
this
the
cell
window
phone.
just a little bit taller, just for the aspect ratio? Is that possible? Or
I
narrower? Or
would
narrower?
narrower. Boy. That is one of the things I don't love about Thinkable is this view.
Oh no, like the browser window. Can you make the browser window just a little bit taller? Um.
I actually don't know how to do that. I can probably. How do I?
Oh. Oh no, I thought this is this in Chrome?
No, this is. I usually use Brave.
Oh
That's probably that throws everyone off. They're like, "Who uses Brave?" And I'm like, "I like me and one of my friends, and I don't think anyone else."
no, what I mean, just like drag the window, the corner of the window, so it's just a little bit more squished this way.
I see. So I should undo my
Yeah,
full
yeah,
screen.
yeah, a little. Oh yeah, yeah.
Let
More
me grab
tall.
a bit. Come here, you.
Uh-huh.
Is that a
Yeah,
little
more,
better?
more, a little more. No, it's getting the wrong way now.
How about that?
Yeah, can you
Better,
do a little, just a
maybe.
little
Yeah, and then I'll try and center. All right. Is
more?
that a
It's
little?
exactly the same as how we started, but it's
Oh
okay.
my god. I will. So this is also a touch screen, so I'll be very like
Uh,
on this to try and show. So Thunkable like main page. Actually, I guess I should probably start at the beginning. If you get a pro account, you have like a whole personal projects thing. You can change all of these little uh, icons. You can create new projects. You can create copies.
mhm,
The thing I was going to show off was a music quiz app. The project was make an app that could be used as like a quiz or a test or like a multiple choice um, thing to help you study. So I was
mhm,
also simultaneously taking a music theory class and like also brand new to that. And I'm like, I don't even know where the notes are and what they're called. This seems like a good use of my time. So you can click on the project. You've got, it's going to take a second to render. This is, if you see up here, following the mouse, this design that's lit up, we are on the design page. This background is essentially a cell phone, and you can see these highlights of elements that I've dropped into.
mhm,
Let's scroll down. You actually, no, we'll zoom out. Elements that I've dropped onto the cell phone face, essentially, and a spot for pictures. I've got basically text boxes that will hold data. All of my data is in a shoot. What is it? A Google
sheet.
yeah, Google Sheet. Out like my brain was saying Excel, but I'm like, it's not Excel, it's the other one. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's in an Excel sheet, and you can actually access that just from this little data tab over here at the side.
cool.
But I'm probably going too into the weeds too soon. I think the brilliant thing about Thunkable is this part, which is the blocks section. This is where you do the coding. Like you can do your design and layout on, um, and I'll zoom in and out of this few times so people can get a like sense of the scale. But with Thunkable, you do the layout similar to how you would like mess with something on like a word processor or just any sort of like good art studio program. You drag and drop, and you can place elements. The coding is this blank slate, which um, I wish they had different segments to make it like packages in Java, so you can have a little bit more of a clear delineation. But I just organized them top to bottom, and so I have you can see right here where I'm circling. Um, this is how you initialize something. You grab a puzzle piece that's orange. It's for, I will try and show these on the side here. Everything is color coded for what parts of the code you need. If you need control, it's the yellow. If you need logic, it's green. Math is light blue. Um, Orange is down here, variables. So if you need a variable, boom, go down here. Here's all the things associated with the variables. And if you're going into a blank project, there will be less options. Mine just has options because I've made variables. So it's like do a thing with the variable. It gives you more options as you create things that are usable. Like
Oh,
super wicked smart. And as you can see, one of my favorite things is they've got these little like knobs for like the set. You know that that set has to be part of something greater because there's that depression here. It needs to be connected to something because there's a that indent, and then it needs another part because uh, there's literally a piece for it. It's got so if you're trying to make a thing or in other programs use a function and you don't know what parameters you need, you don't really know unless you're looking at the dev docs or you know the language really well. With Thunkable, it gives you clues, which is nice. It makes it real easy. So make my variable, I'll drag one of those in, drop it here. Um, this is just when the app initializes the variable. Right here is where you'd put the name, and then I'm going to initialize it to one. One thing that will trick up any seasoned coder with Thunkable. Every other language index starts at 0. Thunkable, they did it 1.
right.
I hate that because I think the OG reason for having indexes start at 0 is like that's what's happening from
Uh-huh.
the point of view of the CPU is like the first position. You
Hmm.
move 0 positions in memory to get to data point 0.
Yep.
But I think it makes sense to make it from the point of view of the human, and that's what Thunkable did. It's like, well, if you have a list, first item's 1. Uh, so most things if you've done a lot of coding, that will mess you up a ton, I think.
So if you have
Um,
a block that's just sitting there, not attached to any conditions, like that initialize app, does that get
yeah,
run when the app loads
yeah,
automatic? That okay.
absolutely. Yeah, and you can. There's it's like so you can up here at the top, you see that there's a screen one. This is a single page application.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't make it multiple pages, but you can do that. So I could have code on separate pages as well. So that way, when like a different page loads,
Got
something
it.
can load. Really good for like games, which that's where I really wish I had my friends because he made this really beautiful maze game, which was super clever. But as right here, you can see from the control, we've got a when screen one starts do. Um, you can see the depression, and in the depression, I can set anything that fits and works. Now, from the sidebar, you can see the green logic section. I just threw a bunch of setters in there. Set image one's picture, get from my purple, which is that's going to be functions and data source stuff, and it's all linked to music quiz question data. It's got a sheet. The sheet's got images. I got a little bit one of the downsides to Thunkable is it doesn't give you a lot of space for things like images or videos. However, if you use a thing like Cloudinary, which is a way to take images and files and whatnot and turn them into a URL instead,
Mhm.
um, you could load those URLs into a spreadsheet and then have your Thunkable connect to that spreadsheet, hit those URLs, and then you don't have memory issues or like space issues with Thunkable. So it's like really great workaround. And that's all this block of code does. It's just, you know, when the screen starts, set the picture to 1 um, for everything. Use the index, um, get all of the different text and subtitles and the scorekeeper and just populate with the thing from the data. And then I've just got a couple of loops for like if a question is partially correct or incorrect, it's going to cycle through my spreadsheet just +1, -1, +3 because I made a weird scoring system to get you to the either appropriate score, appropriate answer, and the appropriate picture for the question. Since I used images, since it's music theory and a lot of it's visual, especially if you're learning like score, and then a button uh, with again setters and true and false. You've got your booleans. I mean, it all. I just love how it snaps together, as you can see here. This blue piece and orange piece, actually, that's a math block, but you can stick a variable in the math block so you can use it like you would write in other code. Take my thing and add one to it. And this took very little time to make. I mean, the most time consuming part was for me getting things on and off of Cloudinary, just because I was using like a lot of picture files. Not a lot, but it just, the logic was simple. The back and forth of like find the file, cut the picture, edit the picture, load the picture on the Cloudinary, wash, rinse, repeat. That was the bulk of the time, which was also not much. Up at the top, you've got this web preview, which is what I'm going to go to now. I think it'll take a second to load. And then so it loads. That blank slate that I had earlier is gone. It's been replaced with a picture from my database. This is a staff in bass clef. Let's see if I know this. And I think that this should be in solfege a do. That should be the note C. And I'll show the answer. Click the button. It's a do. It's a C. I didn't know it was octave 2, so I'll say partially correct. Boom, score goes up 1.
Okay. So you're using app variables to store basically the state, right?
Absolutely.
What are the variables? What are the variables that you have going on here?
Oh yeah, I can. So I probably have to show you that from the design block. I'll show one more question. Just boom, hit the button. Everything changes. The picture, the score is kept. It's same question. I'll just go ahead and hit this. Adds my 3. Shows the answer if I want it. It's another C. It's just an octave up. To show my variables, I'll go back to the design block, which I have to exit out of the web preview first. I always do that. I think I hit I hit design, nothing happens, and I hit web preview and it closes it. Oh, go away, you. Oh, go away. This function button is killing me. I busted my function button earlier today and it's holding down. I'm like, this is causing issues. And I'm so bummed about it. All right. Back to my blocks. Go to the blocks.
Is it busted, or maybe you just need some compressed air?
I'm pretty sure I just need compressed air. Because if I hold it down, it like I can use. I found a workaround. It's just permanently depressed, and I'm like, I
get some air in there.
Okay, so up at the top, you'll see my components. Screen 1 is basically standard. You can always toggle things on and off. So I have a next button. Oh my God, that's so small. But these are basically every component in here. And I usually, when I was learning the code, they're like, hey, name your variables like very on the nose, so that way you and the person after you, or even you, if it's 6 months later, know what the heck it's doing. So like most of my component names are pretty like on the nose. I like doing it that way. How do I show? What's the best way to show off what's actually happening with those? I just broke it.
Yeah, something fell apart there. So that's cool. You can see that when it gets disconnected, the color changes to show that it's not working anymore. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you get errors, you'll get if I do something that it just doesn't like, you'll get a red. You'll get a triangle with an exclamation point, and I think the triangle's red and the exclamation point is black, so it kind of pokes out real nice. when that happens. All right, let's go to, maybe I should go to my data source, but that's just a spreadsheet and kind of boring. How do I show you what's happening best? Hmm? Ah, oh, this is for. So, well, yeah, it's just. Oh, wait, no. I think I can show you from the design block. Sorry, I didn't. So if I click on this right here, this is my question text label. So I don't think I have the data changing because it's just going to be like, hey, here's what you're trying to do. What's the pitch? Whatever, whatever. But on this sidebar, um, well, first you can always just down here grab and adjust its position, but it's a label. You can select font and color and all that jazz, but you can also position, size, all of these things. And then if you want to make it do things, you can just click this button and it will open up your blocks tab and basically give you like every option for what you can do with it at the moment. One of the cool things about Thunkable is that like setters and getters are the same shade. Setters, as you can see, if I can zoom in, whoop, and of course it disappeared. Setters a little bit darker green. Getters are that lighter green. They don't say get, so that might be a thing that throws people off a little bit at first. But yeah, it's the whole. I should now go to my data source and see if, and this is just where all my data lives. I connected it really, really simply. You can add basically anything that you want to connect it to, and it will. When you do that, though, it's best to have your data source complete or refresh or like it doesn't seem to like to pull data from the data source after it's been manipulated first run. I think it usually needs to be reloaded multiple times or like dropped and then re-added. Be one of the little bugs that I found, but it usually, I mean, in order to do something like this with Java and JavaScript, I would have to write like a simple bit of code to get the pictures in there, to make my labels stable, to make these buttons. Scroll.
Have you tried connecting to any other data sources aside from Google Sheets?
I have not, but I'm pretty sure it's compatible. I know it's actually compatible with ChatGPT. We had it using, oh God, I forgot the term, but we were able to use a key to access a ChatGPT account, the professors at the time, and then have his ChatGPT account feed answers to questions we asked based on, it was you make a historical like chat bot. So load it some same exact thing, make a data source. We used Google Sheets again, threw quotes and historicals in there, and then would feed that to ChatGPT through Thunkable, get responses, and we had a thing that was just like, oh, this is probably what they would say if you asked that question. Uh, just like, so as far as other data sources, I don't know, but I think since they're connected to something like ChatGPT, they're probably, the likelihood of them working with other data sources, I think, is high.
What about? Yeah, I know it. I know it works with Firebase, although I haven't tried it.
Oh no way! I didn't know that.
What about authentication? Have you tried that yet?
No, I haven't.
We're
I
gonna.
was gonna say it hasn't crossed my mind, but yeah, no, it just hasn't crossed my mind. I haven't really thought of. So the big thing that I think I want to use this for in the future is like I want to make a little personal fitness tracker app because I'm like a data nerd,
Yeah.
and I don't. I think a lot of the paid options are good, but I'm like I want to also practice data science and like I want to. There's a breathing exercise that I want to like have pop up on a video on the app. Kind of corny, but like after a set, yeah, it's good recovery.
Cool.
Yeah. So like, but that was just gonna be like literally for me. Um, so I almost never the thought had crossed my mind to monetize this, and I'm like, there's a better version. Like if anyone uses Anki, it's a great
Mhm.
flashcard app, and a lot of good flashcard decks exist. So I'm like, I don't want to release something that's inferior just for money when there's like a better option. So I haven't really thought about
Sure.
authentication as far as getting users and verifying identity and dealing with transactions, which is ooh, uh, way out of my comfort zone.
We're gonna try it in an upcoming stream. So if you
Oh no
want,
way! Heck
welcome
yeah,
to.
I would, dude. I'm down to watch that for sure.
Yeah, you can watch us struggle with it. But
Uh,
it's something that lots and lots of people are asking for. How do I just make a basic app with sign in, sign out, and then I don't know, people can maybe make posts or sell something on the app or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Share
well,
something
and
with friends. Yeah.
one of the things that's also neat with Thunkable as well is that it's like they just have a built-in. I didn't realize that. I just saw myself. And I was, oh God, other people could see me. Let me go back to my. Uh, let's see right here. Publish and download. If you have something that is ready for production and you want to try and make a little like to monetize, like
Yeah.
there's nothing stopping me from monetizing this little like 9 question quiz app. Like it's I maybe 10, $20 that I'd have to put forward to that, and like silly easy to do. It's just it's built right in. Uh, I mean, and the great thing about this class for me was like I have a little bit of a background, and this helped solidify some concepts and really made it easier to intuit like what am I trying to do in the code. Like there's I want to logically connect all the right dots to do a very specific thing. And it's easier with the puzzle pieces, I think, generally because people are better with like visual memory and visual learning. Whereas like writing code is a little bit more abstract for especially right off the bat. Like with anything you practice, you get better at it. But uh, it's intimidating off the jump. Whereas this is like very, I mean, every other student in the class was not a computer person and they made better looking stuff than mine. uh, but
Cool. Do you know, can multiple people work on one project at the same time?
uh, yes, I'm pretty sure. I have, it's easy to share projects and copy them. I don't know if like me and you could be on the same we could be simultaneously working on the
Mhm.
same thing. I think what would happen is we'd probably each have our own version or copy that we could like edit. And I don't think there's a Git for this, so that sort of maybe replaces that is just make copies, trade them, work on them, compare notes. like,
Yeah.
uh, so I don't think there's a thing for simultaneous work, but I could be wrong because I have not explored this as deeply as I ought to. But this was kind of more of a curiosity because I was like, I already know some stuff. Like, how the heck do you build an app in a 100 level class? And I was like, oh, this is low key brilliant.
That's awesome. I was thinking, um, were there any other features that you really wanted to show off that you used to make this?
For
I
that, I
have
mean,
some more questions as well.
I think there are a lot of really interesting features, and I don't have a whole lot to show off, but I could highlight because like I've played around with them in some ugly pseudo apps.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can go to just show these off here. But with adding the with all of what you're seeing on the screen now, the fact that I'm moving my picture frame, all of these components that you put on the app screen are addable over whoops through this design like window sidebar. And it tells you what do you want. You want like where do you want a list to show up, a grid, a switch, checkbox, timer, um, animations, videos, and icons. Like it can do what I have is incredibly basic for what it's for, which is
Yeah.
I wish my friend had come through. But I mean, like I said, you can connect it to GPT. It's wild the amount of connections that like the amount of things. There's there's a PDF reader. uh, all of these things can be thrown in. It's like it is so incredibly comprehensively like thoughtfully done, because I feel like if someone were trying to take code and going like, how do I make this so like my 5-year-old could maybe get something right if they messed around with it for a few hours, like
Yeah.
that's to me is this, which like adults, teens, people who are a little bit more refined in their logic, it won't, you'll crash and burn once or twice, you might make it fall apart, but it comes together. You point and click and things show up and you drag them around. um, the interface I wish was a little bit more modifiable. Like I generally want to minimize these sidebars, but I do not. Oh, actually, there
Mm,
is a way. Never mind. Is that? Did
cool.
I just see? It comes, it just doesn't move. But
It's
like, yeah,
very
it's
simple. Yeah. Super simple.
yeah. That's and like it's super simple. If you have something that is touch screen, it's quite nice for doing a lot of the work. A traditional laptop or desktop is definitely not required, although it's, I think if you, I worked on some of my homework from like an iPad and it was like, hey, this might not work well. And I was like, that's fine, totally. But it's a little sensitive. Uh,
Cool. So we still have a bit of time. What do you think about this? Um,
yeah, tell me.
how about you walk me through building something really simple for myself? So I'll share
Yeah,
mine. So I have Thunkable open here, and you can see.
yeah, totally.
And I just put together. I was thinking, oh, that's really cool that you can build something from a spreadsheet. So I just like made this little spreadsheet. Okay, this is just like a demo spreadsheet with some
Yeah,
birds, and
that's so exactly like what I have with some also URLs for, because if you wanted pictures of each bird, slap another
mm,
column in there for URLs. Um,
so yeah, let me just take one. Let me just take one example.
yeah,
Um,
no worries. I don't want
no,
to
that's
be here all day.
right here. Yeah, it's gonna take me a bit of time to get all of them. There we go. I've got all the birds.
What?
Um, and yeah, let's see what we can make with this. So go back to Thunkable.
Yeah, that's it. Call it bird project.
Cool.
It makes you select a category. I'd probably do just for fun or educational. Those are usually, and I think just for fun is at the bottom if you want to do that one.
Oh,
But it
just
doesn't. Or yeah,
testing.
just testing. That was close enough. Um,
Cool.
use and then public is if you want it to be visible. But yeah, I just hit create and then boom, you'll have your blank slate, which like kind of nice. So there's your cell phone background, and now this is usually, I think, my process for Thunkable is like kind of start layout, do some
Yeah.
of the block coding, and try and figure it out from there, and you'll kind of go back and forth. And I think that's nice because you have all those birds. Like, what do you want to do with it? Is it going to be labels? Is it going to be a list? Is it going to be a text? Because we can pick any one of those from these basic components.
Yeah.
And let's say we wanted to have, I liked using labels. I would click label, slap a label down, and then have set it up so that way that label can be filled via the data source with whatever is in the column, and then
So,
cycle through the column to get it. So we can do something simply like that by clicking on the label button. If
so
that
do we build the UI first, or do we connect the data source first, or does it matter?
uh, I'm pretty sure you need to build the UI
Okay.
first and then connect the data source to it, because when you add if you add any UI, there should be an option to connect it to the data source from on the very right hand of your screen. If you scroll over, so in this bar are a lot of the like parameters and there's a better word for it. I'm blanking.
Okay.
Um, but
Parameter sounds right.
it's
Properties.
kind of like parameters, yeah. So like when you select a component, this sidebar will change, and that sidebar will reflect what component you've selected, and then you have the options, the parameters, the kind of all of the changeable. Yeah, you can exactly. There's a lot of modifiables
Yeah.
for that specific component. So any component that you put down on the screen that can be linked to a data source should have the option to link it to a data source from that sidebar. And as you can see, if you go up, it's now label. And if you click those three dots,
Here.
let's see. All right, so those are expand up. Oh shoot, I do have the yeah. So that's how you can fill it. Let's check those. That's probably
Huh.
is there. Hmm. I do have the pro version, so there might be a thing.
Should we try a different element like
Probably, yeah, yeah. It might just
like a list or a data view?
a
Data view.
list would definitely. Yeah, data view grid is actually the data viewer list is what we would use in the class to test and make sure things were connected. So that was probably the best place to start.
Okay, I have that one here, and it says here. It says
Boom, perfect. Yeah, there it is.
well.
And so you'd hit create new, and then yep, select. And so you're going to if you want to make your own, this is how you would do it. But I think it's a little confusing because you're like, name, what do I name? I would click select sheet. And then it's probably going to ask you to connect to Google and ask for some permissions. But you should be able to, from here, select a sheet from your set of spreadsheets. Yeah, see, boom, perfect, birds. And then you want to make sure that
I clicked a little bit too fast there.
so it looked like your thing was right because it was like, hey, where's the header, where's the titles? We could always burn the data source and reload it if it's a problem. But so yeah, as it's, but I think it might even be modifiable as is. But
Okay.
so this you can see it gives you with the data viewer a few different components. You've got the title component and the subtitle component. You should be able to fill both of those from those drop down bars. So where it says like title, go a little below that on the right hand side.
Oh, here.
Yeah, and then see where it says title property. If you click down
Oh,
there, boom, you can grab bird names. Um,
cool.
right, like just that would have been that's at least Java to
Yeah.
SQL right there, and
Yeah.
that took us 4 minutes and was completely off the cuff.
Cool. So now if I run this, it
Yeah.
lets me click on them, but nothing happens. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, we haven't built it yet.
Come
But
on, read my mind.
you, we're not there yet. Maybe like 10 years. um, Oh yeah, I mean, like that to me, when I first did that, I was like, that took me literally like 2 months to figure out in other just
Yeah.
traditional, like I had to learn Java, then I had to learn SQL, then had to learn how to connect the two. And this was a click of a button. Like, uh,
Yeah, this is pretty good.
yeah.
So awesome. So tell me, like, what else can I do?
If you wanted to, so with the nice thing about having a data source is, I think the cool thing is if you wanted to play audio files or videos or MP3s or have it display images or like make a game. Oh shoot. Yeah, games, because like all of the database stuff is great for like apps where you're going to be doing quizzes and scrolling and flipping through and like really educational stuff. Um, I think one of the really interesting things about this is you can use it for making games. And I'm a little less familiar with this, but I'm pretty sure you could probably delete all of these if you wanted, and we can just use the same thing. And if we wanted to keep it birds, we can
Okay.
do that.
Delete
But
this?
what's that?
Did I delete this?
Yeah, we can, that'll take, if we need to bring it back.
How do I delete it?
So
Pressing delete.
uh, up in the triple blocks.
Okay, this is serious.
Yep. It's like, oh no, and then it's gone. So if we scroll down on, so we're back on the left hand side, and we should be able to scroll down. Canvas, I believe, is what we need for a game.
Oh, cool. Okay. I have this canvas. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So that will be, and then this was one of the tricky. So as you see in the component tree, we've got the screen. The screen has a canvas on it. The canvas has a stage. By default, you need a canvas and a stage for a game. I don't know why. I don't know the difference.
Okay.
And the stage should be the size of the canvas, but there's ways to mess with both of those. Now,
Oh,
you click the stage, right? Now you're on the stage. So you have that little beaver looking dude. That is your sprite. That is your character. You could replace that with any image that you could upload from a data source. So if you wanted that to be a bird, just load the bird picture. Um, yeah, and I'm pretty sure if you click that drop down, because that's the picture selection,
yeah.
you could.
Oh, I have to add a. Maybe I have to add a picture in assets.
Yeah, good call. I figured, oh, right, because we didn't put the. Well, there might have been pictures in the data source. Well, that's a different thing. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I guess it didn't
I'm
add.
getting excited because this is. Uh,
Okay, cool. I like this idea of making games with no code.
yeah, and so like you can have that character. I mean, real simple, almost flash game style things.
Yeah.
Like my friend made one where a character like this navigated a maze, and when it touched a maze, it got restarted to the beginning. Another guy made a central locked spinning shooter, like
Uh,
an asteroid style game, till he was overrun by zombies. It was really cute.
that's cool. So I'm gonna
So
try add blocks.
yeah, so you could have when the canvas loads, boom, right off the top, something happens if you wanted that, or yeah, because
So I'll
this,
drag this here.
and that's if you want like a start event.
Yeah.
Then you've got all of these event handlers, which is really cool because event handlers can be pretty chunky blocks of code, but these are just expandable puzzle pieces
I want a keyboard. I want a keyboard event.
for like a button click.
I was hoping I could move him with my keys on my keyboard. Is that possible?
Oh, I believe so. Let's see how. That one. I don't know though, because most of it's a good question because I think it's mostly what I've learned is mostly mouse and touch screen, but I would be surprised if there's not a key.
Well, we can do clicking. We can use
Yeah,
mouse instead.
but yeah, you're gonna do the ASDW, the gamer setup. Yeah.
We can do a mouse.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be like when the mouse is clicked, the second thing from the top, the second piece, or you could do when the pointer is on it and then it moves in a direction or does something. It just really whatever condition for event you want. So yeah, anytime the mouse pointer is
Down on the canvas.
will make it do something. And yeah, motion is the easiest way to go. And you can just
Oh,
I believe that the degrees are like um what was it? It was something that was a little counterintuitive. Like I think was it 90 degrees straight or was 90 degrees completely like I feel like 90 degrees was straight right or straight up, but we'll see. Oh.
I wanna. I want to make it move towards the mouse. So I did
I think I'm gonna grab my
fine. So
PC is a liar. It said I had 6 hours of battery. That was an hour ago. Yank.
in pointing direction. Hmm.
Yeah, so there should be in motion as well. Oh yeah, if you yeah, so whatever directions it's facing, and that little guy has a face, so that'll be the direction he's facing. He'll speed in that direction probably, but I think we'd have to set a motion. Ah! So, and it's just because you'd have to change the way he is facing, maybe with like a button click, and then he might run in a new direction. Uh,
Right.
and in order to get out of this, click the.
This?
But yeah, that's one of the things that I swear
Uh,
it every time. Like I
of course.
work with
You're
this.
looking for something over here.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's not perfect, but it's really good, and it's very clever. Like
Oh, here we go. I think I got it.
oh yeah, so he should probably yep.
Okay, now we got something fun happening. Yeah, we can make games very easily with something like this.
And he's not filling the whole screen because your canvas is that defined area. So if you go back to the design, you can. So now it'll be in the corner, and now it could be the whole thing. You could even have separate screens if you like to change levels just by hitting the plus next to the screen button. Like,
Is this responsive?
uh, yes, like in responsive to.
Oh, I mean, is it responsive? Like, will this if?
Oh yeah, try it out. It'll look full screen now.
Okay. If
That's
the device would have a different width or height, would the canvas adapt to that?
I'm pretty sure canvas and stage are linked. But if he's stuck, no, you have to expand the stage. So I think they just get, or maybe he's hitting the edge. Let's see.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, he's hitting the edge. Yeah, I guess in order to get him to bounce, like, because he's a thick.
oh, you want him to bounce? That would be a good idea.
You should be able to make him bounce too. Yeah, I think that would be like a direction or sensing, or a collides with. Boom. Yeah, any edge, and you could just you have him collide with any edge and make him do a 180. Like, or
Right.
I
Okay.
think you could even use like a random number in the math thing, and if not, you can I believe connect to like math.org or another random number thing relatively easily. And there's timer functions, so if you wanted to like have the screen pulsate colors to make it like a little mini rave, you could do that. It just has a lot of really good built-in features.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
So with I'd say go back to math if you just want a single number.
No, I'm gonna do add 180 to the current
Yeah, to his current angle, and there it is. Boom. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing when people who know how to code hop on this. It's just they take off. And people who don't, they just have to play a little bit, and then it starts making sense and starts.
Well, something's happening.
Yeah, I think
Getting stuck because I think it's getting. Oh, I know what's happening.
because he's only able to go in the direction of the pointer or bounce.
He's zigzagging one pixel at a time.
Oh,
Like he's turning around just
like
over.
micro turns or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's stuck on the edge. It wasn't what I expected, but if we say then move him, we just want to move him forward just a little bit.
Let's see. You should be able to do that if you want to move it like just by pixels. You could set as X.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I want to move him forward.
But that's if you want to And you could use pixels and timers to make it look like it's moving smoothly, um,
Yeah.
instead of just having it be on like perma, just go.
Yeah. Okay. That's fairly interesting. Um, well, another thing we could do is move him to the other side of the screen, make him go through it. That would be like another cool thing we could do.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you could make him teleport or like
But I think we'd get the same.
and yeah. I mean, that's why it's so. And you can attach audio files, video files, music files. So if you wanted to like make a soundtrack for this, you could have a game with soundtrack with background images. And if you have access to any sort of data source, and like Cloudinary, I'm pretty sure is like free. You can put a ton of stuff on there. You can make a really cool thing. I think it's an awesome thing for people who are like, if they just want to make things for personal use,
Yeah.
like grocery list app. Like you can do that with command. There's so many ways to do this, but like this, you can make it in 15, 20 minutes instead of a day or two. And if you're not like a seasoned coder, it's great. And if you are, it's nice and simple and it's fun. And I think it's a really easy way to even talk about code. Um,
Yeah.
because I think you could use this to build a template and then use the template to translate it into different coding languages, being we need these functions and these features and these behaviors working in this manner, build it on Thunkable, and then try to translate Thunkable into a different language. So I think a lot of applications, and I'm super curious and interested to see what happens if and when machine learning can start manipulating these types of things.
That's really cool. Yeah, actually, I saw something before I started learning Thunkable. I saw a presentation at a hackathon where someone who's now my friend he gave a presentation of um, JavaScript with a Thunkable interface. So back
Oh,
and forth from Thunkable to JavaScript and JavaScript back.
yeah. That see, so, oh man, the more languages they can do that for, yeah, I mean, it's that's one of the great things about like I guess GitHub is that we have working blocks of code to solve problems.
Hmm.
All anyone wants to do when they go to the docs or the Stack Overflow is like, I've got the template, change it to match my data and work in a manner like it's you. If you have a working piece, you just modify it. And I think that's the brilliance of what Thunkable has done. Is they're like, this works. That's a nice frame we could use, and here you go. Like, play with it.
Cool. So what's your next project going to be?
So I a friend of mine who is a developer, and he manages and he's very good at it. We were joking. I want to make something that is similar to the D&D style of Dungeons and Dragons style of like a character sheet, but for like people, basically for myself, based on like real world things. So like if in Dungeons and Dragons the highest intelligence is like level 20, right? So what would that be in like realistic human terms? That would be like memory champions or like highest IQ. That's a 20. So I would want to scale that between 0, like, known lows, known highs, create a scale 1 to 20, map my progress and be, this is where I'm at. This is my character. Uh, and then use that for like just personal growth and development, and kind of, if I ever play D&D with friends, like, what character are you using? Like, using me. And he said it would be fun to try and gamify that and focus less on the like trying to create real life character stats for real people. But I don't know. I'm a data nerd. Like, I want to know. Like a scale of 1 to 20 where I fall on the spectrum of like all the things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So would it actually come? This one would require you to make an account, right? or not?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and it's like depending on how, because you would have to. The account is relatively cheap, and I've actually never used the free version because the class I took, they're like the account's required, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, no, I mean, would it require your users to sign in for
oh
this D&D type thing, or would
yeah,
you or
almost. Well, this is one of the things I almost never think about users, and I need to because I'm always like, I'll make it for myself, and then people are like, no, sell it. uh, but yeah, no, I think that in any like you'd have to have users so that way you can store data states and like character specs and like equipment if there's any of that jazz. Like, how mad would you be if you built a character who's pretty cool and then the next time you show up it's not there because there's no way to keep track? So yeah, I would definitely need like I would need to find a way to identify like principal users, um, make sure that their data is kept and stored and like modifiable by them through play, and that's all would be new to me for Thunkable, a little bit more similar to what I did with the boot camp because we worked on some applications that were similar to like financial applications. And oh man, is it easy to leave holes?
If you had to do that with a programming language, which one would you use?
For user authentication for trying to make things
Yeah,
safe.
for the Dungeons and Dragons app.
Oh, for the Dungeons and Dragons app. I mean, Thunkable is probably my first choice for like a at least a work like a V1, because it would be the quickest, easiest way to prove the concept. I mean, if I make it and I like it, maybe other people will. If I make it and I'm like, why did I do that? So it's kind of a 80-20 rule. Like if I think if I could if it works in Thunkable, it would work elsewhere and better and could be scalable if that's what I wanted.
Mhm.
Um,
And if you couldn't use Thunkable, what would you use?
oh man, I do not know Unity, but I would want to use Unity. I've played around with it in the past. It's like this is very cool, way over my head.
That's for 3D stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Like if I if we're dreaming here, yeah, I'd want to use the best kind of software I could find.
Cool. That's cool. We did a couple of streams on Unity. I found it. This is my only time using it. I found it pretty interesting, but yeah, it's definitely a lot to learn.
Yeah, that's why I played around with it for like a few days, a few weeks after talking to some EA game devs, and I was just like, I am not capable of one manning a demo. Like I would need way more free time. But it was very cool. Like I was able to make some like decent 3D renderings and get some stuff to kind of fly around. But my goodness, I couldn't make it into characters, or it was so involved, but
Yeah,
incredibly cool.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Cool. Well, I think that is just about wraps it up for the time that we have.
Was
But
that fun? You
that was
see,
awesome.
I'm
That was.
glad. I
Thank you so much for this.
completely off the cuff. I was so nervous, and I didn't realize that you could see me and my screen. So I feel like the entire first half of that, I probably was making some silly faces, like.
Oh, man, it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. No, it was a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
shoot, next time if we could, I'd love to bring my friend Ko. He is a freshman who's learning this stuff, and he made beautiful projects, and he's very smart. He's also doing some Python, and I feel like he would be a wonderful addition. And
Yeah.
he probably, he took the class way more serious than me. He would be a way better as far as co-coder, whereas I would do probably better talking.